Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development 2024, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 76 years of independence, and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India, Sri Research Institute Center for Arts, Sciences and Wellbeing. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's commemorations. Today, we are commemorating International Day of Combating Sand and Dust Storms on 12th July. Approximately 2 million tons of sand and dust enter the atmosphere annually. Sand, dust, and storm mostly occur in dry and desert regions, but can be carried long distance to impact regions much further away. Dust particles circulated by SDS provide nutrients to marine ecosystems, but can also contribute to coral mortality and hurricane formation. SDS can cause respiratory diseases, heart disorders, and eye and skin irritation, and can also spread other diseases such as meningitis. Aviation and ground transportation can be disrupted by SDS. Agriculture practices and productivity can be impacted by SDS, which can also contribute to desertification process, sustainable water land management practices, and decrease the impacts of SDS. Some of the most intimidating sights in the nature are rolling dark clouds of sand and dust that engulf everything in their path, a phenomenon that turns day into night and wreaks havoc everywhere from northern China to sub-Saharan Africa. Sand and dust storms and the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. SDS, sand and dust storms, in short referred as SDS, present a formidable and widespread challenge to achieving sustainable development in its economic, social, and environmental dimensions. They become a serious global concern in recent decades due to their significant impacts on environment, health, agriculture, livelihoods, and socio-economic well-being. Sand and dust storms are essential elements of Earth's natural biochemical cycles, but are caused in part by human-induced drivers, including climate change and unsustainable land management and water use. In turn, sand and dust storms contribute to climate change and air pollution. Sand and dust storms impacts are felt in all regions of the world, both in developed and developing countries, and pose severe challenges to achieving 11 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, especially SDG 2, Goal 2, Zero Hunger, SDG 3, Goal 3, Health, SDG 6, Goal 6, Water and Sanitation, SDG 8, Goal 8, Economic Growth, SDG 11, Goal 11, Cities, SDG 13, Goal 13, Climate Action, and SDG 15, Goal 15, Biodiversity, Forests, and Desertification. At least 25% of global dust emissions originate from the human activities, and in some areas, desert dust has doubled in the 20th century. The impact of this phenomenon is difficult to control as a human activity is one of the parts of the world can cause sand and dust storms in another region. However, just as sand and dust storms are caused by human activities, these storms can also be reduced through human actions. So, recognizing the sand and dust and their negative impacts at different scales are issues of international concern. The United Nations General Assembly proclaimed 12th July as International Day of Combating Sand and Dust Storms via Resolution 77 by 294. The United Nations General Assembly furthermore stressed the need for cooperation at the global and regional levels with a view to presenting, managing, and mitigating the effects of sand and dust storms through the enhancement of early warning systems and the sharing of climate and weather information to forecast sand and dust storms. The General Assembly affirmed that the resilient action to combat and reduce sand and dust storms requires better understanding of severe dimensional impacts of sand and dust storms, including the deterioration of the health, well-being, and livelihood of people, increased desertification and land degradation, deforestation, loss of biodiversity, and land productivity threatening food security and their impact on sustainable economic growth. Sand and Dust Storms Compendium, Information and Guidance on Assessing and Addressing the Risks. The aim of the Sand and Dust Storms Compendium is to provide information and guidance on how to assess and address the risks posed by sand and dust storms and plan actions to combat sand and dust storms. The compendium brings together this information from a wide range of resources. In response to several recent General Assembly resolutions on combating sand and dust storms, United Nations Convention on Combat Desertification, just a second. So the mandate of the UN Coalition on combating SDS as defined by the participating entities is as follows. Promote and coordinate a collaborative UN system response to SDS, facilitate exchange of knowledge, data, and best practices among coalition members to promote effective and coherent actions on SDS across the UN system and beyond, encourage and promote collaboration on initiatives and actions among members of the coalition, including advocacy and funding initiatives, facilitate dialogue and collaboration amongst affected countries and the UN system in addressing SDS issues collectively, facilitate the capacity building of member states, raise their awareness, and enhance their preparedness and response to SDGs in critical regions. Each year, an estimated 2 billion tons of dust is raised into the atmosphere. According to the report, Impacts of Sand and Dust Storms on Oceans, a scientific environmental assessment for policymakers, even the smallest elements can have substantial effects on ecosystem functioning and on Earth system at large. When we look at the dust cycle process, emission processes are affected by several soil features such as soil moisture, soil texture, surface crust, roughness, elements, and vegetation. Once the strong winds emit dust particles, fine dust particles are carried by turbulent diffusion and convection to higher tropospheric levels, and then large-scale winds can transport them over long distances. Dust particles in the atmosphere scatter and absorb solar radiation and modify clouds and their radiative and precipitation processes. Let's watch a short video.
This dramatic sandstorm was filmed in Niger in early 2000. Sandstorms wreak death and destruction in many of the world's desert regions. They occur when intensely hot air over the desert causes the lower atmosphere to become unstable, leading to strong winds that stir up vast amounts of loose sand. Sand and dust storms can appear quickly and catch people unprepared. Inhaling small sand and dust particles into the lungs can cause serious respiratory problems. Some people also suffer heart stress and eye infections. Fortunately, forecasters are becoming increasingly skilled at prediction. The Barcelona Dust Forecast Center relies on observations, supercomputers, sophisticated models, and expert meteorologists to provide forecasts of sand. Dramatic sandstorm was filmed in Niger in early 2016. Sandstorms wreak death and destruction in many of the world's desert regions. They occur when intensely hot air over the desert causes the lower atmosphere to become unstable, leading to strong winds that stir up vast amounts of loose sand. Sand and dust storms can appear quickly and catch people unprepared. Inhaling small sand and dust particles into the lungs can cause serious respiratory problems. Some people also suffer heart stress and eye infections. Fortunately, forecasters are becoming increasingly skilled at prediction. The Barcelona Dust Forecast Center relies on observations, supercomputers, sophisticated models, and expert meteorologists to provide forecasts of sand and dust storms for Northern Africa, the Middle East, and Europe. It provides forecasts to local and national authorities a full 3 days in advance.
Mineral dust has an important impact on air quality and human health, the environment, and different sectors of the economy. To deal with it, World Meteorological Organization launched the Sun and Dust Storm Warning Advisory and Assessment System with the mission to enhance the ability of countries to deliver to end users dust observations, forecasts, information and knowledge on airborne dust. This system is organized around regional centers.
Translating forecasts into actionable and timely warnings for vulnerable and isolated communities, however, can still be a challenge. Greater collaboration among weather, health, and emergency agencies is needed at the national level. Many local and national institutions also need more equipment, infrastructure, and training.
I think the international community should work with national and local organizations to be able to do this work effectively. They may be able, apart from providing the information and making sure they have the information, perhaps also help with training. with training. Show them the best examples, how successful countries get this information disseminated. The international community can help with resources, can help with training, and can show them the best working models.
The Gobi Desert in China and Mongolia also experiences major sand and dust storms. Asian countries collaborated through a regional node operated by the China Meteorological Administration.
沙尘暴对亚洲的各国影响都非常大。那么增强呢亚洲各国的有关沙尘暴的预报的能力是非常重要的，它对于沙尘暴的灾害的防治有着非常重要的作用。亚洲的节点是 WMO SDS-WAS 就叫 WMO 沙尘暴预警咨询系统首批建立的2个节点的之一，而且我们亚洲的这个节点呢是非常的活跃，而且我们已经做了大量的工作，我们和其他的节点一起来完成 WMO SDS-WAS 的使命，它有各项的活动。
Sandstorms do not only affect the people living in or near deserts. Dust kicked up by a desert sandstorm can travel for hundreds or thousands of kilometers, causing respiratory and other problems in faraway countries. Meanwhile, the nature of sandstorms continues to change, posing additional challenges to forecasters. Climate change seems to be increasing the intensity of these storms and altering their regional distribution and frequency. And in many arid regions, land degradation, also known as desertification, is leaving more sand exposed to the wind. In the years ahead, addressing the evolving challenge of sand and dust storms will require enhanced interagency collaboration and more ambitious international programs for capacity building.
It's unconscionable that information that could help the health of the people, information that can help them protect themselves and take measures to prevent the type of respiratory and asthmatic diseases that we are discussing here is not made available to them. And all that it requires is limited resources, not big sums, to do that. And I would urge that all measures be taken to get it done. The poor also deserve to protect their health.
Today, we are also commemorating Amazon Prime Day in US. With its annual Prime Day, Amazon, the 7th largest retailer in the world, has marked out the middle in the year as its own personal mega shopping holiday. This year, it's from July 12th to 13th. Started in 2015 to celebrate Amazon's 20th birthday, Amazon Prime Day has grown into a holiday to rival Black Friday and Cyber Monday in the US and Singles Day in China from relatively humble beginnings. We say relative because Amazon was a behemoth even then. Amazon Prime Day is now the biggest single day of shopping in the US with more than 100 million products sold during 2018's Prime Day. It is also growing in terms of length, having steadily gone from 24 hours of savings to 30 hours, then 36 hours, and now a full 48 hours of epic deals. Leave it to Amazon to figure out how to double the hours in a day, thinking about how much Amazon make you spend. Well, it is also give it to those who need. Scholarships from Amazon are also available every year. Whether you are an Amazon elegant or Amazon agnostic, there are no escaping the impacts of Prime Day. Today is also commemorated as Battle of Boyne in Ireland on July 12th. Commemorated every year. In Northern Ireland, it is an Ulster Protestant festival. On this day, the fight of Boyne was a pivotal battle in Ireland's Willamite War. It was fought between King James II of England and Ireland, who had been overthrown, and King William III of England and Ireland. King James II was England, Scotland, and Ireland's final Catholic ruler, whereas King William III, often known as William of Orange, was a Dutch Protestant. Today is also commemorated as Collector Car Appreciation Day in US, which is celebrated annually to raise awareness regarding the importance of automotive restoration, as well as the hobby of collecting cars. Restoring and collecting cars play an essential role in American society. It highlights the lucrative car business that the US greatly benefited from. The day also includes some of the greatest American cars that have ever been made. So on this day, show off your car collection if you have one, or simply partake in events where vintage cars are displayed and glorified. To involve yourself more in the journey of how cars developed and are still developing, learn about them through scholarships provided for car enthusiasts. Today is also commemorated as Etch-a-Sketch Day in US, celebrated annually on July 12th, which is a mechanical toy used for drawing. It's an invention by Andrew Casagnes from France and was manufactured by Ohio Art Company. The Etch-a-Sketch was introduced on July 12, 1960 and sold for $2.99, equivalent to $26 today. Being a classic, it has entertained and delighted generations of kids. Etch-a-Sketch Day is celebrated mainly by organizations, and everyone is encouraged to be creative and have fun. Today is also commemorated as Kiribati Independence Day in Kiribati, which is observed on July 12th every year. This day commemorates the independence of Kiribati from the UK. Festivities last for several days as the government sets the days for several other public days like Gospel Day, National Culture Day, and Senior Citizens Day during Independence Week. The capital of South Tarawa has the biggest celebration at the Bairiki National Stadium. Colorful parades, traditional dances, canoe races, kite flying, and other sports competitions form part of the revel. Today is also commemorated as Malala Day. Slated for July 12th every year is an important day in global activism as it appreciates and celebrates the global icon Malala Yousafzai. She broke the norm and rose to prominence at a young age, advocating for human rights, particularly the right of women to have an education. The day also commemorates Malala's birthday and is celebrated globally by international human rights organizations, the United Nations, and other prominent global citizens. Malala Day bears such significance because behind it is unusual story of a young individual formed from a humble background evolving into a global change agent. Malala Yus- Malala Yousafzai was born on 12 July 1997 into a lower middle class family. Her father is an educator and educational activist. Her mother gave birth to her at home because the family didn't have enough money to afford to go to hospital. Her name Malala translates to grief striker. Growing up, she lived with her parents and two younger brothers. Malala Yousafzai was educated mostly by her father, who is a school owner and an educational activist, running a chain of private schools known as Kushal Public School, Kushal being the name of one of his sons. Malala is fluent in Pashto, Urdu, and English languages and has said that she once wanted to become a doctor. Malala Yousafzai is the world's youngest Nobel Prize laureate, as well as the only second Pakistani to ever receive a Nobel Prize. She is renowned and globally recognized for her advocacy, particularly for the education of women and children back home in their native Swat Valley, northwest Pakistan, where a group of Pakistani fundamentalists known as Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan had often banned girls from attending school. Malala Yousafzai advocacy has since evolved fully into an international movement, making her Pakistan's most prominent citizen. On October 9, 2012, on her return from an exam, Malala Yousafzai and two other girls were shot by a member of Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan in what was later revealed as an assassination attempt in response to Malala's activism. Malala sustained a gunshot wound to the head and remained unconscious and in critical condition at the local hospital. However, her condition later improved and she was transferred to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Birmingham, UK. The failed attempt on her life resulted in a global outpouring of support for her. It was on her premise of this incident that she became globally renowned. Malala Yousafzai got married in November 2021 to Asar Malik, who is manager of Pakistan Cricket Board. There is a 2015 documentary chronicling the life of Malala Yousafzai titled He Named Me Malala. You can purchase it digitally and have a closer at Malala's life. The Malala Fund is set up to educate young girls. You can donate to the fund in celebration of Malala Day. Malala's father, Zainuddin Yousafzai, is also an educator and educational activist. Malala Yousafzai is the youngest UN Messenger of Peace. Malala is the world's youngest recipient of the Nobel Prize, which she received in 2014 at the age of 7. In 2015, NASA named the asteroid Malala after Malala Yousafzai. In 2020, Malala Yousafzai graduated from the prestigious Oxford University. It is also commemorated as Mexico's Lawyers' Day in Mexico on July 12th, and was first established in 1960 by President Adolfo Lopez Matos. It is a day to recognize not just the lawyers, but their work as rights and justice advocates. It marks the day first chair of law in Mexico was given over by Fray Bartolome Frias y Albornoz at the Pontifical University. The Diario de Mexico, or Mexican newspaper, originally thought to use this date to acknowledge the start of legal profession in the country. Today is also commemorated as National Different Colored Eyes day. It's all about heterochromia, iridium. It's okay. We don't know what it meant at first. Either heterochromia iridium is a term for the variation in color that gives a single organism two different colored eyes. It has been known to occur in populations of many species since the dawn of recorded history. Is an interesting and sought after trait. Only the lucky 1% of the population enjoys the special pigmentation, though there are three distinct types of heterochromia. Today, many people prefer pets with fun eye color difference, and colored contact lenses are used just to mimic the trait. All this to say, give your friends with heterochromia a little extra love today. Native American Indians used to believe that those born with the unique coloring could see both heaven and earth through their ghost eyes because they had seen dogs born with a trait. They found it inhuman and ghostly. Many myths and fears have long been associated with heterochromia iridium, including superstitious beliefs that those with this trait were witches, were evil, could see their own deaths and into the afterlife, or could consort with ghosts and spirits. Since eyes are the windows to the soul, ancient peoples who couldn't explain the abnormality quickly resorted to ghostly explanations that painted the trait as making someone less human. Today is also commemorated as National Eat Your Jelly Day in US. Jell-O was trademarked in New York in 1897, but its classic dessert we all know and love. The best part of it is that comes in a variety of flavors and can be combined with many ingredients for a simple, delicious treat. Thanks to some very crafty chefs, we can also form Jell-O in fun shapes. So get ready to celebrate 12/12 by eating Jell-O just the way you like it. Today is also commemorated as National French Fry Day in US, which is a great opportunity to take time to sample some golden brown potato slices. But did you know that the origin of French fries is more likely not French at all? Potatoes were being fried in Belgium way before the French, but more on that later. When it comes to the tastiest French fries on the planet, everyone seems to have an opinion. It's a time-consuming decision to find your favorite because no two restaurants seem to have same recipe. French fries do have a nutritional stigma attached to them, however, due to high caloric and fat content. But it's tough to say no to such a hot batch, even the ones at the bottom of the bag. Today is also commemorated as National Hair Creators Day in US, which has been observed every year on July 12th since 2021. Created by Zotos Professional, part of the Henkel Company's leading hair care professional unit. It recognizes self-taught stylists all over the country who love to showcase their creativity in styling hair. It promotes self-expression and helps encourage the artistry of budding hair creators. It is an opportunity for everyone to put hairstyling skills on display. Today is also commemorated as National Motorcycle Day in US, which is celebrated on second Friday of July every year. This year it falls on July 12th. We are getting ready to hit the road to experience the ultimate pleasure of a long ride. Motorcycles are what make the ride an experience. The wind on your face as you hit the high speeds cannot be experienced inside the comfort of a car. Motorcycles are made for those who need more from a ride. It is also much more affordable and low maintenance. So let's ride and enjoy this dedicated to motorcycles, and remember, ride responsibly. Today is also commemorated as National Pecan Pie Day in US. It's pretty easy to get behind a day dedicated on one of our favorite desserts. Indeed, 90% of Americans surveyed believe eating a slice of pie in one of the life's simple pleasures. indulging in 186 million commercially sold pies every year. People who prefer pecan pie over many other types of pies describe themselves as thoughtful and analytical. We are not sure if it still holds true for those who had ice cream or whipped cream, but nonetheless, it's time to celebrate the delicious dessert today. Today is also commemorated as National Simplicity Day in US. It's time to get back to basics and celebrate National Simplicity Day on July 12th. This day falls on this date every year to honor the birthday of Henry David Thoreau, who was born on that day in 1870. So read on for some modern day tips on how to celebrate National Simplicity Day. As Thoreau himself said, as you simplify your life, the laws of the universe will be simpler. Today is also commemorated as New Conversations Day, which is celebrated annually on July 12th. This day is set aside to encourage people to talk to each other, communicate their needs and intentions, and make new friends. New Conversation Day also acknowledges that starting a conversation is hard. It can be awkward and uncomfortable to start a conversation with someone you just met. But new conversations can lead to incredible rewards like friendship and community. This special day is about the potential of new relationships, new bonds, and a greater understanding of each other. New Conversation Day is a day observed all over the world to encourage people to talk to each other and make new friends. Conversations have been basis of human communication for as long as people have existed. Being social animals, human beings have an instinctive need to socialize and communicate with each other, and conversation is the most direct way to do that. Conversations have different purposes. They can be a bonding activity in which two people who already know each other catch up or discuss things that are important to them. It is an opportunity to vocalize thoughts, get input from trusted people, and refine their understanding of the world. Conversations may also be between groups of people who must live or work together, but have different customs and lifestyles. In such a situation, structured conversations may be organized to ensure that both parties feel heard and a fair compromise is reached based on mutual understanding. The intention of conversation is always to understand the other person a little bit more. This lets people not only tolerate but appreciate the difference in opinion around them. Conversations are important for ensuring that people can live in peace with each other, no matter how different they are and how much they disagree. New conversations are always difficult with awkwardness and assumptions on both sides. People develop preconceived notions about each other based on appearance or hearsay, all of which need to set aside for a new conversation to be productive. New Conversation Day is an opportunity to participate in a mindful conversation, to make a real effort to welcome an outsider or learn more about groups of people we disagree with. Today is also commemorated as Night of Nights in US, which is celebrated annually every July 12th. It commemorates when the last commercial Morse code transmission in the US was sent many years ago. Messages, usually in Morse code, was transmitted by radio waves. Through the efforts of the Maritime Radio Historical Society, MRHS West Martin's historic Morse code radio station, KPH, returns to the air for a day that transmits in Morse code from 1 p.m. to midnight. Listeners wait to hear the signals of great station once again fill their receivers. Many will join the MRHS at the receiving station at the Point Reyes National Seashore to marvel as the signals are transmitted by hand using vintage telegraph keys. Morse code radio stations were once scattered along with the US coastline, all communicating with ships at sea. Maritime mobile brands were populated with powerful stations operating from almost every country on every continent. Trade ships and passenger liners filled the air with their radiograms. These radio telegraph operators worked tirelessly, even more so when a ship was in danger. Using the three most recognizable letters in radio, SOS, They knew their fellow radio operators would listen closely to hear every detail and bring help to the troubled ship. Now, these bands are mostly silent with the advent of satellite technology. On the same day that the final Morse transmission was sent, Tom Hoswell and Richard Dillman formed the Maritime Radio Historical Society, MRHS, to keep the history of maritime radio alive. They visited the KPH transmit and received sites in Bolinas and Point Reyes, which were miraculously still intact despite being closed for 2 years. The receivers were still on, maintaining a watch on the most calling channels. They knew that they must restore and operate KPH as a way to honor the men and women who, for 100 years, had made the profession of radio telegrapher one of the honor and skill. Fortunately, they convinced the National Park Service, where the Point Rice Station site was located, to give them the go ahead. Now, the only has KPH returned to the air, but also have several stations such as KSM, KFS, and K6 KPH through the dedication of the volunteers at MRHS, honoring the memory of men and women of wireless is made possible year after year. There is also commemorated as Orange Men's Day in Ireland, known as 12th or Glorious 12th on the July 12th of July every year. The day commemorates Protestant King William's of Orange victory's cover over Catholic King James II at the Battle of Boyne, a pivotal moment for Protestant cause in Ulster. Split 50-50 between Catholics and Protestants, the day has historically seen outbursts of sectarian violence. But today its reputation has improved with the most recent marches celebrated peacefully. Today is also commemorated as Paperback Day in US, also known as World Paperback Day, occurs on July 12th each year and celebrates the humble paperback, which does so much more than carrying our groceries. Today, millions of people choose to switch to paper bags for carrying their shopping, as widespread use of plastic and its harmful effects on the environment at large raises alarm bells in our collective consciousness. So, how do paper bags aid us in fight against environmental pollution and climate change? Firstly, paper is biodegradable, which immediately makes it a perfect, preferable alternative to plastic, which is not. Paper bags are also made of renewable raw materials, which encourage a sustainable lifestyle as they can be recycled. This gives our environment a bit of break too. Surprisingly, paper bags can be quite durable too, except when soggy, and they now have a more upmarket aesthetic appeal thanks to high-end brands popularizing minimal and sustainable packing. So really, what isn't to love about paper bags? Though it is unclear who officiated Paperback Day, we can surmise that it must have been founded in order to raise awareness about important environmental issues like climate change and to promote a more sustainable lifestyle by introducing paper bags as alternative to plastic bags. So if you haven't already done so, switch to paper bags. There is no better day to make an informed decision to switch to using paper bags for most of your shopping. We are not asking you to take our word for it, but do necessary research to find out how paper bags can reduce the use of plastic, help promote sustainability, and protect the Earth's finite resources. Paper bags can be fun too. Many craft activities can be done with kids utilizing old paper bags. Furthermore, paper bags come in handy due to their alternative uses. For instance, did you know that paper bags work better than wipers to clean windows? Try it and see. Look up the many hacks and use for paper bags. Learn how to recycle your paper bags if they are in still good condition. Store them carefully for reuse. They are damaged, they can be used in composting as well as for wrapping food items like garlic and onions. Find out more at your local recycling center. Less is more, and the minimal look of a package wrapped in paper with a bit of twine makes for an elegantly wrapped gift. Since paper bags are 100% recyclable and only take a month to decompose, they are great additions to compost. Not only does storing fruit in paper bags ripen them, but it also keeps them in good condition. Get crafty with paper bags and gazillion ideas out there for making them fun. Paper bags work better on cloth on windows for window cleaning. Paper Bag Day is all about choosing to be more sustainable and eco friendly as we grapple with all too real crises like climate change and globalization. A simple switch from plastic to paper can help make an impact. And the best part is that everyone can do it. This may be obvious, but how often do we take time to celebrate seemingly insignificant things that actually can be of major significance in the long run? Paper bags are toxin free and safe for use, so we are glad that we have a reason to appreciate this invention. Want to do your part to ensure that the next generation does not experience doomsday early due to global environmental crises that are making life on Earth more of challenge. Heavy words we know, but simple conscious decisions like switching to paper bags and choosing recyclable materials for everyday use are what can help combat these universal challenges and ensure a sustainable future. Today is also commemorated as World Kebab Day in US on the second Friday of July, which is an occasion to commemorate the kebab as its multiple varieties are hugely popular because of their meaty texture and an amazing array of spices and aromas. There are known to be more than 20 types of kebabs that are prepared differently in each region or family. That is a quite lot of variety to experience for one just a both vegetarian and non-vegetarian. So with this, we shall end today's commemorations. Thank you everyone for joining us. We request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form, which has been shared in the form of polls, and also request to observe silence or offer meditation or prayers for the global peace and harmony for a minute or so. Thank you everyone for joining us. See you all tomorrow at the same time with the same joining link with different commemorations. Take care. Good night.